Welcome! Here's what I'll be using on today's 16 by 20 hardboard canvas. If you want to use the same papers and stencils I'm using, you can click on the Pay HIP link below to purchase my digital download files. This will give you instant access to my supply list, cut files, printables, etc. Of course, you don't need to purchase these. Feel free to use any stencils you already have, or you can paint and or draw your own designs. I like to use a hardboard canvas for my art, as it will easily take anything I throw at it. Plus, I can just pop it into any standard size picture frame when I'm done. But you can use whatever kind of canvas or material base you prefer. So let's get started. Got some bright yellow out on my canvas, and then I'm mixing up a little bit of a orangey yellow tone, and as you can see, I put a little too much red in. Now I'm going backwards here, trying to get it a little bit more yellow. And I like to use a popsicle stick to stir my paint because I can use them over and over again. They just dry and keep going. Stand more, but I'm going to use a lot of paint, so that's okay. Finally, I'm ready to paint. So I use these chip brushes a lot. I just love them. In the beginning, they lose a few bristles, but then they do pretty good after that. Dabbing in, you'll see me dabbing in some more colors and just working around. I don't want brush strokes, so I'm tapping it in, giving it a nice stippled effect. And I'm going to come in with some more yellow and green here in a second, and I'm just going to play with it until I get it like I want it. As with many times when I'm creating, I'm really going to work hard to make this background just like I want it, and then you're only going to see a tiny little portion of it when I'm all completely finished with it. But that's okay. I'm having fun. I'm going to use my petal to trace on the back of my papers, and I want to do 2 to 3 petals per sheet, usually 2, so I can get as much color, because you've got that outside edge a little bit, you know, that's white from the printer. Anyways, I've got 1 music sheet, 1 handwritten sheet, 11 colored pages, and 6 blank. The 6 blank are for the stenciling I'm going to do in just a little bit. Now this is way too golden yellow for me, and I want to push it back just a little bit and lighten it up. So I'm just going over with a baby wipe and some white. And I'm just going to put it on and take it off and tamp it around until I get it like I want it. I'm going to start my stenciling with my different designs. I'm turning them different ways and putting them just here and there kind of randomly as I go. I always like to put 2 paper towels down to smush the stencil in between each one, so I don't fling paint all over there, smudge paint all over as I'm going. I also use what I call a dauber, which is a makeup sponge with nothing in it, no oils or anything. And as you can see, a clothespin. It's my favorite. And then I can cut off the end and use it in another color paint, and I can usually get 2 or 3 uses out of it. I like to dip lightly into the paint and then tamp off my dauber off to the side, as you can see there, so make sure that I don't have too much paint on my dauber when I go in. Otherwise, you know, you'll smudge it underneath the stencil, and that's rarely good. I just noticed that flickering up in the corner. I hope it's not distracting you too much. I have no idea what that was. Now here I'm using my little guides to mark on my canvas where they're going to help me line up my petals as I go. Unfortunately, I use a Sharpie to do this, so I'm going to have to use a lot more paint to cover them up later on. So if you do this, please use a pencil. It'll cover just lovely. I've got my petals stacked up over on the side, trying to figure out where I'm going to put them. I used to make Etsy videos to sell with kits, and so that's where I'm taking this video from. And as you can tell, I'm talking to the camera here, talking about where to put these, but just line them up however you want. My first layer I'm going to use with my hand stenciled petals. I'm trying to make sure I put some of the lighter ones next to some of the heavier ones. Now I'm going to line my colored ones on that second line, putting them in between the whites. Again, just my preference. I was teaching a class, so it was easier to teach it this way. It could be kind of groovy if they were all going every which way too. That would be really cool. I also taught this as an in-person class once, and one of the gals in the class wrote with the Sharpie on some of her blank ones, the names of her family. And that was really, really cool. My next row, I'm going to go in with the white again, trying to mix up all my designs so that they're not close to the first row ones that I put down first. Got to get them up on that next line. I'm worried about that. Getting them spaced out pretty good. Up to my top row now, and the last of the colored ones. Now that I've got my game plan, I'm going to start picking them up in the order that I'm going to decoupage in, and put them in piles off to the side so that I don't get out of whack. because decoupaging, you know, I want to go pretty quickly before the glue dries. And so yeah, this helps me do it in a way that keeps everything wet and move it. Here's how I like to decoupage. I put some down. I do about 3 petals at a time. Then I put some on top. Then I smush with my finger. Then I come back and tamp over it with my brush so that I don't have any brush strokes, but I got a nice, good adhesion. I like to use Mod Podge for decoupaging. And I like to water it down a little bit. It's a little bit thick for me, so I'd use just a little bit of water and thin it out. And then I think it is amazing. You'll also see me go back here and there and tamp over at places that I've already done. As I said before, I want to keep the whole thing on the wet side until to the very end. It's starting to come together. It's time for the 3rd row, 2nd row of white. Now before I go any further, I need to carefully lift these tips and cut them off on that line because that is my paint line. And now for our last colored row. Put it on that last line up there at the top. It's time to cut off the colored tips back to that line where we're going to paint. I want to clean up this edge as good as I can. Now this, you know, it's not going to be perfect, and that's okay. That's going to help the look of it, I think, if it's a little bit rough. But I want to get it pretty good and pretty even. Smush it down. Tap some more Mod Podge all over where I just cleaned so that all my surfaces are the same. And we're ready to let her dry. Using my X-Acto knife to cut off those overhang edges and making sure I peel away from the canvas, not toward it. I love how it's looking so far. Mixing up another golden. Even look, see, I put one drop of red in there. It was still very, very orangey. I tell you, that red's powerful stuff. But anyways, now I'm going to come in and paint all the white with that yellow. Now I'm going to take a mix of my yellows and really be intentional about outlining my petals. Really help cover up those hard edges and help define them. Now I'm going to come in with some white and make a light yellow and continue on in defining my edges of the petals. One of the things I love about working with Mod Podge is once you've got a coat on your canvas and it's dried, it's so nice to put paint on top of it, and if you make a mistake or something you don't like, it's so easy to wipe it out. So forgiving. Now I'm coming in with my dark gray. I'm going to do a little bit of a line and a smush or a swipe, whatever you want to call it. I'm big on the smush, as you can tell. Just adding just a little bit more definition. Nothing too crazy, just a little something. Now I'm putting out some bright red and some darker red, and I'm just going to tamp it on, and I'm kind of stippling it. Is that the word? I want to go on that edge. I don't want it to be a smooth line, so I want my chip brush to kind of make a rough, have you seen the center of a flower? They're rarely perfectly, not that I'm trying to get it to look just like a flower, but you know what I mean. Now I'm going to tamp in some of that darker red, just like we did in the beginning, and some yellow, and just giving it some nice highlights. Now I'm going to go back in with my dauber and my dark gray and finish off the edge of my canvas. You're going to see here in a minute, this isn't going to be enough for me, so I'm going to use my dauber to kind of go over the edge of the canvas here. But this isn't enough for me either, so then I go in with my fingers. And that is the move that I like. Hey, thank you so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe. You might also hit the bell button so YouTube will notify you each time I add a new video. Until next time.